AG, what do you know about your team?
I guess starting from OTAs to training camp, this is a team that wants to be really good. They're yearning to win, and I have to do everything I can to try to provide that for them. They're a tough team. They're a smart team. They're resilient. They're aggressive. All the traits that I'm looking for, all right, in a team, like they embody that. So I'm excited about where they are.
In 1998, when Bill Parcells came in,
Yep.
did it feel different for you immediately as a player?
Yeah.
And fast forward to now, did you want to make sure that it felt differently to everybody inside that locker room?
No doubt, because once you have change, I think the first thing that shows up is how different does the atmosphere feel. And when Bill came in '98, it was a total change as far as the atmosphere. And I want to be the same because it is a change. And I want these guys to know that we were going to implement something that was going to be different. And that different doesn't mean that it's a wholesale change as far as players or whatnot, but how we go about doing things. And I think our players did feel that. And again, I want to make sure I provide that, not just to the players, but also the whole building. One of the things I used to say when I came in, I want to shake the building. I want the building to know that, man, this is a new era, and it's going to take all of us to make sure that there's change here, and I want to make sure that happens.
You often talk about brand.
Yeah.
What kind of brand do you want your football team to exude?
Well, there's something that we've been working on since training camp, and I want to make sure I talk to our guys in phases. I never want to put too much on the guys from how we start in OTAs to training camp. And the one thing that we want to work on during training camp is a brand of what is our identity is going to be. All right, I want to be a detailed, disciplined, and highly, highly competitive team. And then there are some things that I also want to do to give us an advantage. And I try to keep those things close to the vest, if that's okay, But those are the things that we really want to work on. That's the brand of our team. Just making sure that we create an identity and what are the things that we're going to try to create an advantage for ourselves, and that's our total brand.
In 2012, when you're putting on hundreds of thousands of miles on that car, and you were a scout.
Yeah.
Could you envision this?
You know what? I'm a huge believer, and I'm going to be exactly where my feet are. And at that time, when I was putting all those miles on that car, man, I was trying to be the best scout I can and try to make sure I give the right information to our GM so he can make the best decision that he can. And I really wasn't looking at, being a head coach at this time. I mean, obviously in the back of my mind, I knew I always wanted to coach, but I wanted to make sure I was going to be the best scout I can. So I was logging all those miles, make sure I get all the information that the GM can make a good decision.
Do you embrace the unknown of week one? And also, could it play to your advantage? Because people know you as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
They don't know you as a head coach.
You know what? That's the one thing that I kind of made sure that was corrected when people did identify me as, he's a defensive coach. No, I know offense just as well as defense, and that's how I want to be looked at, as an overall head coach that can coach every phase of this team, from offense, defense to special teams. And obviously, the experts when it comes to the position coaches, they know all the verbiage, they know all the small little details. But if anything happened to any other coach, I feel like I can step in and basically coach exactly what we're trying to do. And that's every position, and even on special teams, to where we can go out there and function. So yes, I want to be known as a true head coach and not just a defensive coach.
What's the relationship like with quarterback Justin Fields? He was asked about playing his former team, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was 4-2 there last year as a starter. He said, well, one of the reasons ultimately I ended up here was because of AG.
Well, listen, I love that player. I love what he stands for. I love how he goes about his business. I love how he prepares, each week. And we haven't had games yet, but how he prepares just to get himself ready to play. He's my type of guy. And I'm gonna go back to a Parcells-ism. Is he's and this is not has to do with anybody else, but because it's just who he is. He's not one of these quarterbacks that wants to be known by everybody. And Parcells used to call that the celebrity quarterback. He's a quarterback just wants to work his ass off and get better every day. And I love that about him. And that's who I am, a guy that just wants to get better every day. So every trait that you want in a quarterback, my quarterback, man, he has those. And that's what attracted me to him.
I know you weren't showing your cards in the preseason, you or Tanner, but you've faced him before.
Yeah.
What kind of pressure does Fields put on a defense?
Man, his ability, obviously his ability to maneuver with the ball in his hands. Some of these things that he did in college with his quarterback run game, I think he's exceptional at that. And the things that he might not get a lot of credit for is his ability to get guys in and out of a huddle, his ability to understand the coverage concept that he's about to go against, and his ability to be able to deliver the ball. Now, does he have to get better in some of those things? Absolutely, and he will tell you that. And I'm okay saying that. But the thing is, he's improving every day in that aspect. And I'm proud exactly where he's at and what he's doing. And I know that he's going to do good for us.
How excited are you to see the defensive line go out there? Because I kind of think people from the outside might be sleeping on them a little bit because
and that's okay.
We didn't
that's
see
okay.
We didn't see those four much together in training camp.
Yeah.
You got Quinnen Williams, the cornerstone piece. You guys acquire Harrison Phillips. You got Will on one edge, and Jermaine's back.
Listen, I'm excited about that group. Listen, we have a couple of dogs on that line, and not just our starting guys, but even our backups. They're built the same way, and there's a certain type of mentality that I want when it comes to defensive line, and all those guys have that. And we're still working to work together, and that's one thing as a defensive line, they have to complement each other in some sort of form, way or fashion, and we try to make sure that we get that in practice. Listen, we have a ways to go, but I like it exactly where we are when it comes to that front.
Can you speak to your relationship with Mike Tomlin?
I can. He's listen, he's a man that I think every coach looks at and say, man, I wish my career can be that. Because what is it? He hasn't had a losing season. And my gosh, I mean, that is special. It really is. And I don't know how many coaches could ever say that. He might be the only one. Am I correct? Is he the only one?
I think so. I mean, he's had 3 seasons that were 500.
Yeah.
Never under 500.
Never a losing season. Never under 500.
Never.
And that's special. But to be able to call him and just talk to him and be able to say the issues that he's been through and how did he overcome those issues? Because being a head coach, it can be a lonely place now. And for him to be doing it so long and have the success he's had, it's special. It's special. So I'm looking forward to competing against him in this game because it'll tell us exactly where we are, as far as a team. So I'm looking forward to this.
It's something that resonates with me is that he always has said the standard is the standard.
Yeah.
And you're trying to create a standard here.
Listen, I think every coach tries to create a standard, but you have to ask yourself, what is that standard for yourself? And how are you articulating that to your team and for them to be able to believe exactly, what you say and how you go about your business so they say, okay, this is exactly it. And he's not wavering from that standard at all. And I try to make sure I do that. And the guys know exactly where I stand with them and with this team and with everybody, as far as the coaching staff too. And I try to embody that on a daily basis.
Can you speak to how you prepare for an Arthur Smith, Aaron Rodgers-led offense? Because Arthur's tendencies, but you also have matched up with Aaron many times.
Yeah, and here's the tough thing about this first game, especially when you're going about it to where, okay, there's a little unknown within this. So you have to really understand exactly what does Arthur like to do? And then what does Aaron like to do? And try to make sure you prepare for those things. The one thing I told our team, that we have to be really, really good of adjusting and then executing. Because within this game, you just don't know what you get, but we have a good amount of tape to look at and be able to prepare and see exactly how we're going to go about this plan.
Speaking of plan, it's going to be fun watching the plan you guys come up with, you and Steve Wilks on the defensive side.
Yeah.
How much confidence do you have in Tanner now that he'll be able to really unleash his full arsenal?
Well, all the confidence in the world. That's one of the reasons why I want him to be my coordinator. And I'm directly tied into what we're going to do on offense. I spent a lot of time studying how they operate on defense, and between me, Tanner, all those guys, we put our ideas together, and man, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to operate. There's a brand that we have that we don't want to, get too far away from, but we also have to understand, man, listen, we have to plan and make sure whatever they're weak at, we try to attack that. Wherever they're strong at, we try to make sure we minimize those plays to where they're strong at. And listen, our guys are doing a great job with this plan, and I try to make sure that I'm a part of each part of it, from offense, defense, and special teams, because there's some things that I like that they understand that, and we're going to move in that direction.
No surprise how direct you are, but you said it this week that, hey, my rookie tackle, Armand Mambu, is sometimes going to be lining up against Watt.
That's the nature of this league, and you can't run from it. The one thing that I tell our guys also is the reason why this is the greatest game in the world, because the tape don't lie. And it is what it is. Are we going to put him out there by ourselves? No, you can't do that. That's anybody, but he's an elite player with Watt. They have a lot of good players on their defense. But listen, our guys are not afraid, and they're ready to go. So we look forward to Sunday.
7 of 11 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
You're leading the Jets out of the tunnel on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
This is the team that drafted you in 1994.
No
you
doubt.
came back in 2012.
No doubt.
You said early on in training camp that first day you couldn't sleep. What do you think it's going to be like Saturday night?
Somewhat similar, I'm sure. But there's something about me that and maybe it's my faith that gives me peace of mind to know, listen, I've put everything I can into to prepare this team, to get this team ready to play. And there's a lot of confidence in those players with me also, so that gives me a lot of rest as far as peace, I would say that, of mind, to know we're going to go out there and we're going to operate. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect. But I know for a fact I'm giving them everything I got, and I know for a fact they're going to give me everything they got.
Hey, G, appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.